Thank you. Director Rands, please.
Thanks. It's been a few years since I've sat on this committee, so I just need a clarification. You put the figures up about with regards to diversion and how the diversion was perhaps calculated in a not the best way. And it would seem that the way you put it down there, that we're almost close to, like I know that the 70% thing has been a real hang-up in terms of the liquid waste. Are we close to achieving diversion? I mean, is the province starting to accept the figures that you're talking about? And it would seem to me that we're very close now. So is that 70% requirement likely to fade away if we follow your calculations there?
It has been brought to the province's attention several times that there's some inconsistency now in terms of their resource recovery 70% hurdle number and their movement to calculating disposal per capita. As at this point, nothing has changed, but they are certainly aware of that inconsistency.
Okay. Director Derman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very quickly, given the numbers that the province has provided and the change in direction they seem to be going, is it time that we start to look at opportunities for integrated waste management rather than looking at just solid waste or just liquid waste over there? Thank you.
Ms. Hutchinson.
Yes, through the chair. So the integrated solid waste and resource recovery plan originally was intended to take a look at how we could integrate liquid waste within the solid waste management planning process. The liquid waste management plan and the solid waste management plan have to come through as two separate planning documents, but we were intending to take a look at how we could integrate to the extent that we could based on board policy and board direction. And that seems to be moving in a direction of having more integration, a focus on integration currently. We have taken every opportunity operationally to integrate waste. So for example, as an emergency backup, raw biosolids or raw sludge from the Sandwich Peninsula wastewater treatment plant are disposed of as controlled waste at the Heartland landfill. Screenings from the Macaulay and Clover Point pump stations are disposed of as controlled waste. We are also taking a look at opportunities to integrate the Resource Recovery Centre that was proposed for Heartland with operations at the Heartland landfill as well.
So, Ms. Hutchinson, could you, so the provincial regulation, though, is still separating out, like, I think what we're hoping is that maybe the province will allow it to come together, but they're still requiring a solid waste plan and a liquid waste plan?
That's correct. That hasn't changed, and as well as their policy around having a target of 70% diversion in your solid waste management plan before you start taking a look at waste to energy and other opportunities like that. But as Russ had indicated, there is some conflict with their new targets and adjusting that policy.
Okay, thanks. Question?
Yeah, sorry about this. Again, I'm just trying to get up to speed. Has a gasifier ever been seriously considered for this?
Ms. Hutchinson?
Through the solid waste management planning process, no. Waste to energy has not been considered for solid waste. We had a workshop with the board last fall, and at that point, the direction that we heard from committee members was that waste to energy would be a aspirational concept within this plan, but that we would continue to take a look at landfilling residual solids within this planning horizon and maximize the life of the landfill for those residuals. So at this point in time, that's the direction that we have from the board, and it may be something that we need to have a conversation around as things have continued to evolve and the conversations have happened at the core area committee.
Question to you, Madam Chair. Has this committee ever heard information from somebody that really understands gasifiers?
I can tell you that at the Liquid Waste Committee we had years ago, we had a company come out, Plasco. But I really don't, this is just an orientation. As staff said, there's lots more process to do, both with the advisory committee and this committee. So I think Ms. Hutchinson has relayed where we're going with more consultation. Okay, this is just the orientation to get us up to speed where we're at. Chair Jensen, please.
Sorry, did you say you had someone from Plasco come?
Yeah, when I was chair of the Liquid Waste Management Committee, Plasco came out and did a presentation. Thanks.
And I just note, over the weekend, someone sent me a newspaper article from Ottawa where their $185 million waste energy, solid waste proposal, sewered, so to speak, used the colloquial, and the company went bankrupt. So Plasco went bankrupt. So there is a certain risk with that, and I suspect that that's what was considered at that time. Certainly Ottawa is now regrouping to see what they can do with respect to their $185 million contract that couldn't proceed.
So committee, could I have someone move the recommendation, which is really just to receive this orientation report, and then I think Director Young has some questions. Director McIntyre moves. Someone second it. Director Blackwell, thank you. Speaking order. Director Young, did you wish to speak?
Well, just a comment. I'm also rejoining the committee, and I guess I was struck by the contrast between the title of this and the discussion. The title talks about Integrated Solid Waste and Resource Management Plan, and by which I took that to mean integration with liquid waste. I happen to not be supportive of that direction. The report itself, which doesn't deal with that, I find instructive, but I am very concerned about the board's direction of treating integration as a goal. Just to answer Director Ranz's question about gasification, it was last week, wasn't it, that we had a very detailed report from our staff at the Core Area Liquid Waste Management Committee dealing with gasification. And there was a very strong difference of views at the committee about whether the information was accurate or not. And so merely the mere provision of information about gasification isn't that easy a task. I happen to believe very strongly that integration should not be one of our goals. I think that the whole trend of our waste management system should be towards separation. The greater the degree of separation that we can achieve, the more likely we are to achieve these various goals that we have in terms of reusing materials in the best possible way. And in fact, integration in practice does mean common thermal destruction of material for the creation of energy. The more practical impact on us, though, is that it's resulting in delays. And Director Hicks talked about the delays in our solid waste management plan with regard to dealing with kitchen scraps. Adding the requirement of integration on top of that, it seems to me, besides potential loss of the benefit of the material, also will lead to a delay in implementing things. And the same thing, unfortunately, is happening on the liquid waste management side. We're paying a lot to do these temporary things on the solid waste management side, and the longer we take, the worse it'll be. There are lots of challenges on the solid waste side. The blue box is a pretty primitive system in relative to systems that other areas are using. With, I mean, even the most minimally efficient system will have wheel totes and for example. And there are lots of things being done on the front of how to deal with recyclables in a more efficient way, and I'm sure we will find some of them. But in some cases, we're going to need more revenue from fees paid by the producers and by people consuming the packaging and paper and so forth. But what, Madam Chairman?
Director Derman, you're sitting at the table as, you know, a guest.
Yeah.
But talking is not helpful. Thanks.
That concludes my remarks, Madam Chairman. But I intend to vote against this motion simply because of the title of the report. And I would suggest as an alternate motion that the board, that this committee requests the board to reconsider the objective of integration of our solid and liquid waste management streams.
Director Rands, please.
Well, in fairness, I asked Director Derman what the name of the company was, Plasco, just so I could get that straight. I understand. I mean, I didn't get this from Director Derman, but that's a plasma arc technology, and it's something that's what I'm seeing. And again, coming back onto this committee again, is that we seem to be focused in one direction only. Now, I read the report that Director Young referred to from last Wednesday's Core Liquid Waste, and again, what struck me is that there's no real understanding, at least that I can find or I can glean coming back into this, about conventional gasification. And it just seems to me that all we ever hear, like I said, is just everything focused in this one direction. There does seem to be opportunities in the other direction, and I don't, I find it that there seems to be a dearth of information based on conventional gasification that comes to this board.